Welcome to Yachting International Radio. You're with Karine Rayson from the Crew Coach on your mental health. This week, I'm going to be talking about how to manage a crisis. So when a crisis occurs, it is unlikely that we're going to be prepared or we're expecting the crisis to happen. So as a result, this can spark off a crisis reaction. In this series, I'll be talking about how to manage distressing feelings, things to consider, as well as the categories that the four reactions can exist or present itself in, and how to manage those. So I look forward to connecting with you 7 a.m. CE time this Wednesday, that we're going to be expecting it or be prepared for it. Therefore, we are likely to have a crisis reaction. So I'm going to talk about what the crisis reactions look like and how they fall into four different categories. I'm also going to talk about things to consider when in a crisis and how to manage it. So I'm going to give you a great tool that you can walk away with and apply when you need to manage a crisis. For those of you who are listening, I have now shared my screen and I'm going through a workbook that I've developed so that you can refer back to when trying to implement this tool. So this should be available for you to download in the link associated with this video interview. So the first tool is something called STOP. So this is an acronym and it stands for slowing down your breath. T is taking note. O, opening up. And P, pursuing your values. So slowing your breath, this helps with grounding you and connecting you in the present moment. When we're connected to the present moment, we're unlikely to be thinking about the future or thinking about the past. So what I'd like you to do is Google yogic breath, and there are a range of exercises that you can trial to see what works for you. So it's really about mindfully observing the breath going in and out, and this has a calming effect on the parasympathetic nervous system. The next thing is taking note. So taking a note of what's around you, what you can smell, what you can hear, what you're thinking about, what you're feeling. So this is important in terms of it prevents the thoughts that are swirling around in our minds to be consistent or persistent, and it helps you acknowledge what you're experiencing in the present moment. Next one is opening up. So what I mean by this is to open up about your feelings. So identifying your feelings and sharing your feelings rather than suppressing it or bottling it up. So what you're going to find is that it's going to come out in other ways. So it could look like aggression, or it could look like passive aggression, or you can become very introverted and internalizing those emotions on your own. So it's really important to voice your emotions. The next one is pursuing your values. Now, I'm someone that loves working with values, so solution-focused therapy, positive psychology. This helps us connect to the core of who we are. It helps us identify our strengths, see our values as a radar system. So it's our internal compass. If we are aligned with our values, we're likely to be more congruent and honest with ourselves and honest with others and make better decisions. So once you've gone through all the steps, you're probably going to be in a better mental state to do this exercise. And the questions that you ask yourself within this exercise, so who are you? Who do you want to stand for in the face of a crisis? And how would I like to act? So what behaviors or actions will you be engaging in a crisis? Hopefully it's not frantic or chaotic, but more calm in your approach and calm in how you communicate with other people. And then think about how you would look back on the situation in a couple of years' time and how you would like to feel about how you handle the situation. So naturally, you'd like to feel proud of how you conducted yourself and how you were able to not only support yourself, but support others. Now, the things to consider in a crisis is, do I need extra support? Can I benefit from it? And if I do need support, who am I going to contact? So obviously you've got your friends and your family, there's options to speak to therapists, but be mindful on who you choose to connect with, because if you connect with the wrong people, they are going to make you feel more stressed. So go to people that you can trust, and it's important to feel that you're not going to be judged when sharing what's going on for you. But the next thing is, have you experienced anything similar before? So it's really important to think about your past. Were you in a difficult situation or in a crisis situation, and how did you handle it? If there were some positives that came out of that situation, think about the strengths or internal strengths that you used to get through it. What were your coping mechanisms? What tools did you use to help you come out of the situation successfully? Is there anything you can do to improve the situation in any way? So look at breaking it down into smaller steps, because it can be very overwhelming. There's a lot that is happening around you in a crisis situation, a lot of change to process and cope with. So it's important to empower yourself. You may feel like the situation is controlling you and you don't have any control. So think about what you have control over in the present moment, in the next few minutes, in the next few hours, and in the next few days. So again, think about exercises, more self-help strategies. So journaling, deep breathing, doing yoga, reading self-help books, or listening to podcasts, talking to a friend, using distraction techniques like watching a movie. So there's a lot of things that are actually in your control to help you feel better. So is there anything you can do to improve the situation? If there is, you are likely to feel more confident in how you deal with it and manage it. So looking at radical acceptance, that is from acceptance commitment therapy. So ACT, if you Google ACT, there's a lot of resources there available to you. Is it given the situation, is it unchangeable? How can you spend your time and energy constructively? So the fourth thing is, if there is nothing you can do to improve the situation, then are you willing to practice other techniques such as acceptance or using expansion and diffusion skills? If you don't know what this is, I highly suggest you Googling ACT, which is Acceptance Commitment Therapy. They have a lot of resources available for you to download and use at home. So radical acceptance is looking at accepting the situation for what it is and learning how to surrender. Diffusion skills is looking at disconnecting yourself from the emotion. So not shutting the emotion down, but more so not making the emotion part of you. So the emotional feeling is separate to you. A lot of people say, I am depressed or I am anxious, whereas you really not. You are actually having the feeling that you are sad, or having a feeling. It's not, you are not the feeling is separate to you. Number 5, you don't get to choose the deck of cards you're dealt with in life. You only get to choose how you play with them. So let that really sink in and think about what that saying means to you. How does it resonate with you? So look at your personal strengths. Can I develop or strengthen as I go through this ordeal? How can I learn and grow from the experience? Number 6, be compassionate to yourself. In this difficult time, it's very easy to be self-critical and judgmental. So it's important to show yourself kindness. So look at self-care strategies. How would I behave towards a friend that is struggling? What might I say or do? And apply that to yourself. Now, I mentioned that I'd be going through 4 different categories, and this is how we respond to a crisis. So we're going to respond in different ways, and it's going to impact different parts of ourselves. So it's going to impact our state of mind, so that is our cognitions or our mental state. So how this may look is you may have poor concentration, because obviously your mind may be elsewhere, worrying about the future. You may have issues with making decisions. So this is a time where I wouldn't recommend making very serious life decisions. You may feel very confused in your thinking. You may have problems with abstract thinking, or you may have a bit of memory loss. This is completely normal. Now, physical. So you may feel like you're getting really tired all the time, lethargic. You may feel you're getting headaches. There may be a change in your eating routine. You may feel more hungry or less hungry. You may feel heart palpitations or increased heart rate. You may have elevated blood pressure from stress. You may experience chest pain, and associated with that can be rapid breathing. Emotionally, so you might feel irritable, you might feel numbness. A lot of people have said that. You may feel depressed, you may be feeling overwhelmed, your anxiety may also be increased. You may have a loss of emotional control. You may find yourself getting quite angry, and there also may be fear there. Moving on to behavioural. So think about the actions, the things that you do. So this can be withdrawing from other people. You may feel a loss of interest to engage with others. So there may be periods where you'd rather be alone and in silence. There may be a decrease in personal hygiene. So you're not taking care of yourself. You may not be shaving as often. You may not be, bothered to put makeup on. Not that it's important, but your self-care routines, what you normally do to take care of your physical presentation. Is there anything that you are not motivated to engage in, that you're becoming more laxed upon or slacking in? Okay, so now the next one I'm going to do, the last one, is how to cope with a crisis reaction. So, and just to name a few, you guys need to download this book and go through them, is keeping busy. So having a routine in place. The night before, I would recommend getting a pen and paper and planning out your day so that you know that you've got something to wake up for. Talk to people. Talking is so cathartic. I cannot recommend it enough. Again, choose who you talk to and who you feel most comfortable in being vulnerable with. Be aware of numbing the pain with an overuse of drugs or alcohol, even sleeping tablets. You don't need to complicate this with substance misuse. So don't self-medicate or put as we call it, with substance abuse, is a band-aid over the situation. Rather talk about it and act in a pro-social way and make more helpful decisions rather than masking it with substance abuse. Give yourself permission to feel distressing emotions. It is important not to block it out, because with emotions, if we suppress it, it is going to come out in another way, and it's likely to be anger. Don't make any big life changes. I mentioned that previously. Do make as many daily decisions as possible in order to give yourself feelings of control over your life. So if someone asks you what you want to eat, answer them even if you're not sure. Get plenty of rest and eat well-balanced and regular meals. So I hope you found that helpful. Also, to let you know that there is 50% off my counseling services at the moment. So if you're thinking about reaching for help or wanting to trial a counseling experience, this is a great opportunity to do that. Okay, take care, everyone. Thank you for joining me, the Crew Coach, on your mental health. I'll see you next week.